Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Let's Learn English.
David was a young man who lived in a small town. Every morning he woke up early. The sun was not even in the sky yet. The streets were quiet and cold. David worked in a small office. His job was simple. Every day he sat at a desk and looked at numbers on a computer. He did the same thing again and again, day after day, week after week, month after month. Sometimes David looked out of the window and wondered about his life. He often asked himself a question: is this all my life will be? He was not poor, but he was not rich either. He had a small apartment, a small kitchen, a small bedroom, and a small television. Every evening he came home from work, sat on the couch, and watched television. Then he went to sleep. And the next day was exactly the same. One night, David looked at himself in the mirror. He looked tired. He looked older than his age. He looked like someone who had stopped dreaming, and that moment changed everything. He asked himself another question: what do I really want in life? The question stayed in his mind all night. The next morning, he woke up with a strange feeling. Something inside him wanted change. Something inside him wanted adventure. But he was afraid. Change is not easy. Many people stay in the same place because they feel safe, even if they are not happy. David thought about this during his work. Numbers on the computer screen moved slowly, but his mind was somewhere else. He imagined traveling. He imagined learning new things. He imagined becoming a different person. But another voice in his mind said something different. What if you fail? What if things go wrong? What if you lose everything? Fear is a powerful voice. Sometimes it is louder than our dreams. For many days, David did nothing. Life continued the same way. But the question did not disappear. What do I really want in life? One evening, something unexpected happened. David was walking home after work. The sky was orange and purple. The air was fresh. Suddenly, he saw an old man sitting on a bench in the park. The old man was smiling and looking at the sky. David walked past him. But then the old man spoke. Beautiful evening, isn't it? David stopped. Yes, he said. It is. The old man looked at David carefully. You look like someone who is thinking too much. David was surprised. Maybe, he said. The old man laughed softly. I was the same when I was young. David sat on the bench next to him. For a moment, they were silent. Then the old man asked a question. Tell me something. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you go? David did not answer immediately. He had never thought about it seriously. Finally, he said quietly, I would travel. I would see different countries. The old man nodded. And why don't you? David looked at the ground. I have responsibilities. I have a job. I have bills. The old man smiled again. Yes, many people say the same thing. Then he said something David would never forget. Most people are not trapped by their life. They are trapped by their fear. Those words stayed in David's mind. That night he could not sleep. He kept thinking about the old man's words. Trapped by their fear. The next morning, David did something unusual. Instead of watching television after work, he opened his laptop. He searched for something. How to change your life. He read articles, he watched videos, he read stories about people who started new lives, people who traveled, people who learned new skills, people who started businesses. For the first time in many years, David felt excited. But excitement is only the beginning. Real change requires action. The next day, David woke up 1 hour earlier. Instead of sleeping longer, he started reading books. Books about success, books about habits, books about courage. At first it was difficult. His body wanted to sleep, his mind wanted comfort. But every morning he continued, 1 hour every day. Slowly, something started to change. His thoughts became clearer. His energy increased. His confidence grew. After 2 months, David made a decision. He would learn a new skill, something that could change his future. He chose to learn English better. Every day he practiced listening, speaking, reading, writing. At first he made many mistakes, but mistakes are teachers. Each mistake helped him improve. Weeks became months. David was not the same person anymore. His world became bigger. Through English, he discovered new ideas, new cultures, new possibilities. One evening, he remembered the old man in the park. David went back to the same bench, but the old man was not there. Maybe he never would be again, but his words were still alive. Most people are trapped by their fear. David smiled because now he understood something important. Life changes slowly, step by step, day by day. Small actions become big results. 1 year later, David made the biggest decision of his life. He quit his old job. His friends were shocked. His family was worried. "What will you do?" they asked. David answered calmly, "I will create a new life." He started working online. He continued learning English. He met people from different countries. He worked hard. Sometimes he failed. Sometimes he doubted himself. But he never stopped because he remembered how his life used to be. A small apartment, a small television, a small routine, and a small dream. Now everything was different. 2 years later, David was sitting on a plane. He looked out the window. The clouds looked like white mountains. The world looked big and full of possibilities. He was traveling to another country for the first time, not for vacation, but for opportunity. He remembered the night he looked in the mirror, the tired man he saw, the man without dreams, and he realized something powerful. The biggest change in life does not happen outside. It happens inside our thoughts, inside our courage, inside our decisions. David closed his eyes for a moment. He felt grateful, not because his life was perfect, but because he had the courage to change it. And somewhere in a small town park, there was an empty bench, a place where one simple conversation had started a new life. Sometimes a few words can change everything. Sometimes a question can open a new world. And sometimes the person who changes your life is a stranger you meet for only 5 minutes. But the real transformation happens when you decide to act, when you decide to believe in yourself, when you decide that fear will not control your future. Because life is not about staying safe. Life is about growing, learning, exploring, and becoming the person you were always meant to be. David looked out the airplane window again. The sun was rising above the clouds. A new day was beginning. And his new life had just started.